Welcome to America's Pal. I am your host, Darren White. This is the #1 rated podcast being recorded in my man cave. Today, we're not doing a regular episode. We are actually celebrating our 10th episode. And sure, anybody in podcasting says no self-respecting podcast host celebrates 10 episodes. And I say, who said anything about respect? But anyway, if you want to follow us, you can find us everywhere podcasts like to hang out, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the Apple iTunes, the whole smash. You can find us on YouTube. Check out my channel, America's Pal. You can find all the videos there. If you need a reason to poke your own eyes out, you can actually see me make the sausage here. Today we're celebrating 10 episodes. Apparently, statistics say that most podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes, and crushing it. We're 10 episodes deep now. I'm also the kind of guy that gets upset when people ask my mom how old I am, and she doesn't reply with 522 months. But anyway, I thought it might be fun to do a best of bonus episode of my weekly news Outbreak. And as we all know, I take a headline right out of the news. It's actual news, and then I follow it up with some satire. For those of you in Rio Linda, satire is not exactly true, but funny. So essentially each week I have to write 10, 15 jokes and pick them out for headlines and all that. So I scoured through over 100 jokes, and I picked some of my favorites that I'm also an expert in dad jokes, so my telling of dad jokes really does nothing for the listener. It's more for my own benefit. So you're going to get to hear me tell some of my favorite jokes, and I will laugh and enjoy them, and maybe you will too. If not, that's not my fault. You don't appreciate comedy gold. And also, I'm going to pick one of my favorite deadbeat sponsors, which, as we all know, deadbeat sponsors are the guys that don't pay any money. We don't make any money off of these deadbeat sponsors because I make them up myself, and we don't have any paying sponsors. So before we get into my favorite news outbreak headlines, let's listen to my favorite deadbeat sponsor. This portion of the program is being brought to you by Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone. Hello again, friends. It's your old pal from Arkansas, and I'm here to share a brand new product that just could save your career. That's right. Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone is just the thing for you to keep your garments looking their best when you're on the go. If you're working late, you get a spot on your tie or some sauce on your fly. If you're under some stress and make a mess of a dress. If you're working hard for that dollar and get a smudge on your collar. If you notice a stain as your career circles the drain, then there's not a moment to waste. Order your very own Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone. It's guaranteed to remove all traces of everything from marinara sauce to DNA. Its compact size means that it will fit nicely into the cigar box in your desk drawer. It's guaranteed to work on the most delicate of materials, including private jet upholstery, a famous rug in your office that's shaped like an oval, rich Corinthian leather, and all designer clothing. Every Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone comes with a legally binding non-disclosure agreement for you to use at your discretion, free of charge. Order your Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone today. It just may save your career and a bundle in legal fees. Thank you, Slick Willie. That's a product, pretty much everybody in Washington's going to need, so I'm pretty sure it's going to sell like hotcakes. Before we dig into the best of the news outbreak, I will start with my very first episode #1, first headline, and then we'll go from there. And I'll just break right into it. There's rumors that that the Florida man is going to tell one of his favorite jokes at the end of that, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's get right into the best of the weekly news Outbreak. Zelensky plays the Warren Zevon classic, Send Lawyers, Guns, and Money, while Putin keeps singing, Putin it on the Ritz! Fox News host Sean Hannity, in ringing endorsement of Dr. Oz, says that Dr. Oz is as severely conservative as Mitt Romney is. With COVID cases on the rise again in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul says, bring it on. We have 10,000 empty beds in our nursing homes, and by the way, where's my Emmy? 37 million birds are affected by the bird flu outbreak. When asked, Dr. Fauci said, we are working diligently around the clock to fit the boys with masks and ventilators until we can inject the Pfizer vaccine into the wings of 2.6 billion chickens worldwide. President Biden had to be evacuated from the civil servant's fourth vacation home when an aircraft accidentally wandered into his airspace. As an extra layer of defense, the president informed the Secret Service that he had evacuated himself during the evacuation and would require an additional pair of presidential pants. From the Skynet desk, according to Forbes, Facebook was forced to shut down one of their artificial intelligence engines when it began creating its own language that humans can't understand. Upon further research, the AI chatbot was simply transcribing everything President Biden has said since 2019. The Yulin Dog Meat Festival is set to kick off in China soon. Dr. Fauci's Institute of Health is to sponsor and cater the event with the leftovers from their Chinese experimental kitchen. No bats this time, just puppies. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy said this week that gas is so expensive that it is cheaper now to buy cocaine and run everywhere. When asked, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said, Senator Kennedy's thinking is completely outdated and off base. We are moving fentanyl now. Cocaine is so 1980s. From the proxy war desk, Ukrainians worry that prolonged war may cause the West to lose interest in their plight. To quell their fears, the military-industrial complex responded by saying, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Our plan is to drag this out for a couple of decades, soak the taxpayers for a few $1 trillion, and then inevitably hand everything over to the Russians, leaving thousands of Americans and allies behind to fend for themselves. The stock market dropped faster than Jeffrey Toobin's pants on a CNN Zoom meeting this week. When asked, Fed Secretary Janet Yellen said, although it is troubling, Jeffrey Toobin's pants are still transitory. From the irrelevant pop star desk, Justin Bieber has an odd neurological condition paralyzing the right side of his face. When asked, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla stated that he was excited for the opportunity to raise profits with another mass vaccination experiment on all of the believers out there. From the Build Back Better desk, women nationwide are facing a tampon shortage. Women's NCAA Division I champion Leah Thomas stated that she consulted her gynecologist about the issue and was reassured that the supply chain issue would not affect her testicles in any way. When asked about rising inflation and fuel cost, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre explained the strength of Joe's economy, saying, what we're saying is that the economy is in a better place than it has been historically. Everyone from 1929 shouted back, you're damn right it is! President Biden fell off of his bicycle this weekend, not far from one of his vacation homes. When asked about the incident, Vice President Harris laughed awkwardly and said, of course those aren't my wrenches. Whatever do you mean? From the Kung Flu desk, the Federal Depopulation Agency, the FDA has approved COVID vaccination for babies as young as 6 months old. When asked, the CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said that the federal government was thrilled to extend their global human experiment to a brand new group of involuntary subjects, potentially saving the lives of countless puppies and hamsters worldwide. The Ministry of Truth is back under a new and less dystopian moniker. The administration is simply calling the new state-sponsored censorship board a task force with Vice President Harris at the helm. When asked, Vice President said she was very excited to get fitted for her very own pair of jack boots, saying, She hasn't worn jackboots since she began her career in politics. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that it is the Fed that is responsible for addressing inflation. When asked, she stated that the Fed will address inflation once they determine what inflation's preferred pronouns are. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe was assassinated at a campaign stop in Japan last week. When asked, recently released attempted Reagan assassin John Hinckley said he looks forward to recording an album with an actual accomplished assassin. No word yet on any upcoming tour dates. Bill Clinton is reported to be advising former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on his return to politics after multiple sex scandals forced him to resign. When asked, President Clinton said, "This is the perfect opportunity for me to launch my new product, Slick Willie's Stain Be Gone." President Biden traveled to Saudi Arabia to beg the Crown Prince for their dirty oil and confront him on the death and dismemberment of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. When asked about said confrontation, the Crown Prince said, "Of course we talked about the death of the journalist. Your president said that he was impressed with our tactics and wish he could have deployed them before the news of Hunter's laptop came out." In political insider news, Nancy Pelosi's husband bought 20,000 shares of Nivea stock, a semiconductor company set to do very well from the CHIPS bill, which his wife, who happens to be the Speaker of the House, was bringing to a vote. This bill was passed and funneled $250 billion to the already very profitable semiconductor industry, for no good reason. Due to all of the bad press and just before the bill's passing, the extremely wealthy cuckold husband of the Speaker of the House sold his interest in the stocks at a loss of $365,000. When asked about the legal political insider trading by both political parties, hardened criminal inside trader Martha Stewart, who did 18 months hard time for insider trading, said from her immaculate kitchen, from the Marxist Catholic desk, Pope Francis says it's time for him to either slow down or retire. When pressed on the topic, Il Papa said, "I feel confident that my time as Pope has ensured that the atheist Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin have completed their tasks, and God himself would be hard-pressed to take Holy Communion." In the middle of a war, Ukrainian President Zelensky and his wife found time to pose for Vogue magazine. Voldy wore his standard military green t-shirt, and his wife wore a sensible black turtleneck. Mitch McConnell pun intended. When asked, Mr. Leo said,
"We've got a special man in the audience today right now. It's Mr. Leo.
He's a fashion consultant for the Army."
Well, thank you, Agent. I'm just very happy to be here. I want to tell you something. You know, this whole camouflage thing for me doesn't work very well. Why is that? Well, because you go in the jungle, I can't see you. You know, it's like wearing stripes and plaid. For me, I want to do something different. You know, you go in the jungle, make a statement. If you're going to fight, clash. You know what I mean?
And in an effort to salvage Representative Liz Cheney's doomed primary campaign, her father, Darth Cheney, has cut a brand new campaign ad for her, offering an exclusive hunting trip with him and a trauma surgeon. The trip will include pheasant hunting, the finest shotguns your tax dollars can buy, a gourmet lunch, and all the birdshot your face can take. Famed aviator Amelia Earhart has finally been commemorated in the Capitol Statuary Collection. Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, who was in attendance for the ceremony, said, "It was great to share this moment. The unveiling of Amelia's statue with the people who had been working 2 decades on this. I got to spend..." This just in an unexpected turn of events, the Amelia Earhart statue has mysteriously disappeared. The whereabouts of the statue are currently unknown. And that sums up the best of our weekly news update. Weekly news outbreak. My apologies, lame comedy show. Anyhow, thank you guys for doing 10 episodes. We're going to keep going. We've made it past 7, so that means we're not dead. We've made it. The statistics say we're still there. Anyway, yes, I will celebrate anything. But as promised, Florida Man is going to attempt to tell a joke from memory, one of his favorites, so let's let her rip, Tatership. So the other day, I'm standing out in my farm mending fences. And this fella in a long black BMW pulls up into the driveway and says, "Sir, I happen to notice that you have a pig with a wooden leg." And I felt myself compelled to pull over and find out why anybody would have a pig with a wooden leg. So I informed the man. I said, "Sir, this is no ordinary pig." And he says, "Well, explain how so." I said, "We got this pig, and he was in his pen, and late one night, a fox had broken into our chicken coop. And the fox was terrorizing our chickens in a terrible way. And that pig, without doing nothing, he broke out of his pen, and he barged into that chicken coop, and he fought that fox off so bravely, and he saved our chickens, and our chickens were very, very thankful." And the man in the black BMW says, "Well, that really doesn't tell me why he's got a wooden leg now, does it? Did the fox take his leg?" And I said, "Of course not. A fox cannot take a pig's leg." He says, "So then how does this pig wind up with a wooden leg?" I said, "Well, you got to finish the rest of the story." Shortly thereafter, while we was asleep in our beds one evening, a small fire had broken out in our kitchen. And unbeknownst to us, that fire began growing and growing, and the smoke had billowed out of the kitchen window. And that pig, he smelled the smoke, and he saw that it was coming from my house. And again, he broke out of his cage. And he burst into our house. He broke down the front door. He began a squealing and a hollering and woke us all up. He ran right past me as I was running down the hallway, made it to the nursery. He carried our little baby straight out the front door and carried her to safety. And then he barged right back in. He found our puppy. And he picked her up and carried her out to safety, and we was all so grateful. And not only that, he grabbed a bucket of water and brought it into the house to assist us in extinguishing the flames. And then the man in the BMW said, "I understand. So apparently the pig, did he lose his leg in the fire?" And I said, "Well, of course not. He didn't lose his leg in the fire." And so he said, "Well, then how does this pig wind up with a wooden leg?" So I looked at him and I said, "Sir, a pig that good, you don't eat all at once." Anyhow, folks, thanks for tuning in for a quick best of the weekly news Outbreak, a Florida man joke, one of my favorite deadbeat sponsors. But make sure every week you tune in on Tuesdays through any podcast hosting site that you look for. Subscribe to it, like it, comment, give me a 5-star review. If you follow on YouTube, like I said, if you need a reason to poke your own eyes out and want to see my face, go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, share it with your friends. That's important. Share it with everybody. We've got a great message of happy patriots, honesty, truth, our founding principles. Share it every week, listen every week, and we're going to look forward to seeing you this coming Tuesday.